occurred nearly every week over a period of many years. In spite of the continual pain, his contemporary, Padre Villani, once said, "In the depths of his soul, he is the happiest man in the world." His attitude to life, in his own words, was always pray, hope, and don't worry. Anxiety does not help at all, he would say. The good Lord will listen to your prayers. And yet this man, who was like no other man, for many years of his life rose at 2:30 a.m., went to the sacristy at 4, said Mass at 5, a time decided after his period of rejection by Rome, when he had been ordered to say his Mass as early as possible, hoping to discourage large congregations. But still they crowded to this center of worship and waited for an hour or more, even in bad weather, for the door to open. As he pleaded with God to forgive his people, there were so many to be remembered, so much to offer, that his Mass could last for more than 2 hours. The stillness in the church was absolute. As he reenacted the passion and death of Christ, Padre Pio became a man of sorrows, offering himself with Jesus for the salvation of the world. An eyewitness says, as he turned to give the last blessing, the peace of Christ descended on all present, and one realized that God, in his love and mercy, had given us this man of suffering in our lifetime to reenact before our eyes the mystery of our salvation. It seems that because he offered to suffer like Christ before him to save souls, Padre Pio was granted what are known collectively as the gifts of the Spirit: bilocation, discernment, prophecy, conversion, healing, perfume, and language. Father Joseph Pius came to the friary many years ago as an American tourist to see Padre Pio. He stayed to become a Franciscan friar.
He actually understood languages he never knew. For instance,
how do we know that?
By the documented evidence in his life. For instance, after making me learn Italian when I didn't understand why, he spoke to me in perfect English 2 months before he died.
And had he not been known to speak in English before, you mean?
He had been known to hear a confession in English, I think in 1927, but only that do I know about English. Then there's the story of the French prince who came and spoke with Father Pio privately for 15 minutes and marveled at how perfectly an Italian could speak and pronounce French.
The volume of his mail from all over the world was astounding. During the Second World War, he often gave families accurate reports on the fate of their menfolk who were away fighting. Many of his statements turned out to be prophetic. Father Peter Villani was brought up near San Giovanni, and his mother was a great admirer of Padre Pio. His father had emigrated to America to find work.
My mother, as usual, used to ask Padre Pio of everything she had to do. So even that time she went, and after her confession she said, "Father, my son is asking me to go and see him. Can I go? What do you think?" Oh, Padre Pio said, "Oh no, you can't. Why I can't, said my mother, why I can't? Because she's thought something had happened to me. So why I can't I see my son? Oh, well, you know, said Padre Pio, your husband is dying. My mother had a shock because she said the letters she received from the States was very good. Good health, good job, normal. So because Padre Pio said no, she didn't come. And in fact, the day when she was due to come and see me, she received a telegram from the state to say, yesterday your husband died from a mine coal accident.
Some of the most extraordinary stories are about his bilocation, that is, his apparent ability to be in two places at once, on occasion even to hold up the passage of time. Father Villani and his mother would frequently walk 12 kilometers to San Giovanni from their village to attend Padre Pio's Mass. One day, after Mass, while Padre Pio was taking off his vestments, a friar told her that the friary had no bread. So she went all the way back to San Marco on foot.
Collected the big loaf of bread, about 6-7 kilos, and put it on her head like our women did when carrying things, and back to San Giovanni to find Padre Pio in the middle of getting off his Mass vestments.
So, by an extension of the power of bilocation, his mother travelled all that distance in less time than Padre Pio needed to take off his vestments. After he received the stigmata, he never left San Giovanni Rotondo. Yet there is an army of witnesses to swear that they saw him in many different parts of the world. And since his death, people are still unexpectedly finding themselves in his presence. Padre Pio's appearances of this kind are usually to people in need. Peter Barrett, in the army at the end of the war, found himself in San Giovanni and went to confession to Padre Pio and subsequently served his Mass. Not long ago, in Greenwich Hospital, meeting the parents of a badly injured boy, he gave them a picture of Padre Pio and the message, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." 2 weeks later, he met the parents of the injured boy, and they told him that their son was being discharged, fit and well. The mother, very grateful, said,
She said, I wonder, she said, could you give that priest, she said, our sincere thanks that was with you. And I didn't want to embarrass her to say which priest, but I knew for a fact that I was on my own there. And she said, he was very like, she said, the priest that on the picture that you showed me, she said. But she said, would you please give him our sincere thanks?
The priest she saw was, of course, Padre Pio. Margaret Neal recently had this experience in San Giovanni.
Our spiritual director on the pilgrimage, coming round giving each person the host. I saw him give my friend Kathleen the host, and then when he came to me, he just passed me, and I looked forward, and I saw this other priest walking forward with a chalice raised in his hand. I realized that it was Padre Pio himself who was giving me the Holy Communion.
An American squadron leader claims that during the war, Padre Pio appeared before his plane in the sky above San Giovanni Rotondo and turned back the bombing raid. At the time, he had never even heard of Padre Pio and was only able to put a name to his vision when he saw Padre Pio in San Giovanni Rotondo several years later. Padre Pio was also reported to have been seen in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome on more than one occasion, and to have visited the dying Vicar General of the Diocese of Salto